Welcome to the Church in the Wild podcast. You'll be hearing the words from worship from Sunday, May 17th, 2026, where we nominate new wild saint Andrea Gibson. If you want to learn more about all of our wild saints and all of our upcoming events and programs, just go to churchinthewild.org. Thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Barb. So this nature moment, I wrote it for the last month when we were doing caring for creation, and I got sick that week, so never used it. So it's a recycled one from last month. But so sometimes when well-meaning people try to practice caring for creation, it backfires. Their efforts can sometimes actually make the situation worse. Just north of Antarctica lies a place called Macquarie Island. And there aren't any permanent inhabitants of the island, but in the 1800s, seal hunters would use it as a stopover to, eat and rest and things like that. And they ended up introducing feral cats to the island that they brought along to kill the rats that were on the island and kept getting into their food supplies when they would stop over. Unfortunately, the cat population went crazy on the island for over 100 years after that. They were having a good time. The cats did so well because, in addition to rats, they ate the native seabirds on the island. And by the late 1980s, so over 100 years later, God bless you, they were killing about 60,000 birds a year. And 2 species of the native birds had become extinct. So in an effort to care for creation, protect the remaining native bird populations, wildlife managers decided to get rid of the cats. So for several years, they removed over 700 cats. And the environmental team in charge hailed the program as a great success for the birds. The problem was, unknown to the wildlife managers, the cats were also eating wild rabbits on the island. And with no cats, the rabbit population exploded. So it went from around 10,000 rabbits to over 100,000 rabbits in a very short time. Yeah, and the rabbits decimated the island's vegetation, which led to soil erosion on a large scale and the destruction of the nesting grounds for those birds that were meant to be protected in the first place. Another well-meaning plan that backfired was when researchers in California decided that they should remove an invasive green crab population from a lagoon there. The crabs were destroying the native shellfish population in this lagoon, and they were invasive, so decided to get rid of them. And then by 2013, they had reduced the crab population from about 125,000 down to 10,000 crabs. So that was pretty good. They were happy with that. Thought they had done a good thing for the shellfish. Unfortunately, the crabs they removed were almost all older adult crabs, and they didn't realize that older crabs eat lots of younger crabs normally. So after getting rid of all the older crabs, the younger crab population exploded to over 300,000 in just 1 year. And so much for the shellfish. They were not protected after all. So there's a lot of examples like these where purposely introducing or removing a species from an ecosystem to help the native populations causes unintended harm. Or sometimes we think we're helping by feeding wild animals in the winter, which can make them approach humans when they shouldn't, or make them dependent on food instead of practicing the skills they need to find food. Even something as harmless seeming as beach cleanups can cause problems. I read about this. If not done correctly. So when big groups of volunteers converge on a beach to clean it up, their foot traffic can disrupt the nests of the animals that lay eggs in the sand or build nests in the dunes. A lot of times the people will try to pick up old rotting seaweed on the beach and driftwood that's washed up because it looks bad and it smells really bad, so they're cleaning the beach. But that decaying seaweed and driftwood is a place for all kinds of insects and small crustaceans to use for food and shelter. Newly hatched sea turtles hide in it on their trek back to the water, so predators have a harder time picking them off. And then the nutrients they release as they rot into the ecosystem are really important for a healthy food web. So now they're telling beach cleanup volunteer groups to please stick to just trash and leave anything else alone. So I guess before we jump into a project to try and help care for creation, we should just make sure that we do our research first so we don't end up doing more harm than good.
Now we have our only reading for today. Usually we have a poem and wisdom. However, our wild saint that we're nominating today, it was a poet, and this poem is quite lengthy and full of wisdom, so it's going to count for both.
This is called Say Yes, and it's by Andrea Gibson. It's the first poem that I ever heard. When two violins are placed in a room, if a chord on one violin is struck, the other violin will sound the note. If this is your hope, this is for you. The ones who know how powerful we are, who know we can sound the music and the people around us simply by playing our own strings. For the ones who sing life into broken wings, open their chests and offer their breath as wind on a still day, when nothing seems to be moving, spare those intent on proving God is dead. For you when your fingers are red, from clutching your heart so it will beat faster, for the time you mastered the art of giving yourself for the sake of someone else. For the ones who have felt what it is to crush the lies and lift truth so high the steeples bow to the sky, this is for you. This is also for the people who wake early to watch flowers bloom, who notice the moon at noon on a day when the world has slapped them in the face with its lack of light. For the mothers who feed their children first and thirst for nothing when they're full. This is for women. And for the men who taught me only women bleed with the moon, but there are men who cry when women bleed, men who bleed from women's wounds. And this is for that moon, on the night she seems hung by a noose, for the people who cut her loose, and for the people still waiting for the rope to burn, about to learn they have scissors in their hands. This is for the man who showed me the hardest thing about having nothing is having nothing to give, who said the only reason to live is to give ourselves away. So this is for the day we'll quit our jobs and work for something real. We'll feel for sunshine in the shadows, look for sun rays in the shade. This is for the people who rattle the cage that slave wage built, and for the ones who didn't know the filth until tonight, but right now are beginning songs that sound something like people turning their porch lights on and calling the homeless back home. This is for all the shit we own, and for the day we'll learn how much we have when we learn to give that shit away. Excuse me for swearing, y'all, but this is part of the poem. This is for doubt becoming faith, for falling from grace and climbing back up, for trading our silver platters for something that matters, like the gold that shines from our hands when we hold each other. This is for the grandmother who walked 1,000 miles on broken glass to find that single patch of grass, to plant a family tree where the fruit would grow to laugh. For the ones who know the math of war has always been subtraction, so they live like an action of addition. For you, when you give like every star is wishing on you, and for the people still wishing on stars, this is for you too. This is for the times you went through hell so someone else wouldn't have to, for the time you taught a 14-year-old girl she was powerful. This is for the time you taught a 14-year-old boy he was beautiful, for the radical anarchist asking a Republican to dance. Because what's the chance of everyone moving from right to left if the only moves they see are NBC and CBS? This is for the no becoming yes, for scars becoming breath, for saying I love you to people who will never say it to us, for scraping away the rust and remembering how to shine, for the dime you gave away when you didn't have a penny, for the many beautiful things we do, for every song we've ever sung, for refusing to believe in miracles, because miracles are the impossible coming true and everything is possible. This is for the possibility that guides us and for the possibilities still waiting to sing and spread their wings inside us. Because tonight Saturn is on his knees proposing with all of his 10,000 rings that whatever song we've been singing, we sing even more. The world needs us right now more than it ever has before. Pull all your strings. Play every chord. If you're writing letters to the prisoners, start tearing down the bars. If you're handing out flashlights in the dark, start handing out stars. Never go a second hushing the percussion of your heart. Play loud. Play like you know the clouds have left too many people cold and broken and you're their last chance for sun. Play like there's no time for hoping brighter days will come. Play like the apocalypse is only 4, 3, 2, but you have a drum in your chest that could save us. You have a song like a breath that could raise us, like the sunrise into a dark sky that cries to be blue. Play like you know we won't survive if you don't, but we will if you do. Play like Saturn is on his knees, proposing with all of his 10,000 rings that we give every single breath. This is for saying yes. This is for saying yes. Thank you all. It feels a little odd to be preaching from my phone at Sky Lake, or speaking from my phone. I'm not preaching today. Words. All right. So Andrea Gibson's poetry entered my life in 2005 when my college friend shared it with me, and we listened to the whole album of spoken word poetry. The first poem I heard was Say Yes, the one that was read today, and it just floored me with its hope and its gritty optimism, because optimism isn't always simple or easy, and hope is it takes a lot of grit and courage to have hope sometimes. Their poetry, and this poem in particular, carried me through some of my hardest times in 2 decades of life. And learning of my favorite spoken word poet's cancer diagnosis also floored me. So who were they? Andrea Gibson used they, them pronouns in the end of their life. The best part is that it's not too hard to learn who Andrea Gibson was, because they were so vulnerable and honest in what they shared in their poetry, in their writing. There's a movie now on Apple TV. If y'all have Apple TV, it's a documentary called Come See Me in the Good Light. It was nominated for an Oscar this year. It's really powerful, beautiful, beautiful piece. And sharing hope and also the hardest parts of life with these beautifully resonant poems that empowered many to notice the things that suck in life, because their Substack is, there's a website called Substack, and they had a newsletter that they would send out, and it was called The Things That Don't Suck, and it started after their cancer diagnosis, so they would recognize some of the beautiful parts of life. Andrea Gibson's poetry encouraged me to read at open mics, and while I was serving churches, I would go to an open mic night every week and read poetry, and it just was like its own beloved community of sorts. It was a really beautiful experience to show up in that space and be able to do that, and I wouldn't have done that if I had never been exposed to Andrea Gibson's poetry. So I'll share a part of a poem that I wrote the day I found out they had passed to the afterlife last July. I'm awash, in tears down my face. In the crevices, I'm gathering these beautiful days. They call them wrinkles or smile lines. Laughter lives. Love lives. It all lives on in words. When I pass, who will be there? I feel God will. Whomever God is at the moment for me, ever changing, there is a flowing river of reverence pouring down my cheeks. I've spent over a year in therapy with humor, sifting and sorting many memories, feeling stronger, feeling freer. Every time I share another memory with my therapist, the best part is they are glorious mistakes. We are all glorious mistakes at times. We all make glorious mistakes. Gloria, the angels sing, Is heaven real? I haven't been there. Oh, wait, I have. I have touched a baby's hand. I have viewed a person's recovery. I recovered. That's its own heaven. When I think of all my glorious gaffes, my miraculous mistakes, I think of recovery. When you write the bicycle, when I write these words on this page, I think of mistakes, missteps. All the things we say when we don't know what is happening. All the things I said when I was recovering from that. In my body, in my world. The world became my body, the world became my mind, the world became my words. Id, ego, superego, it didn't matter. All the times I had fought for others didn't matter. I had to turn the energy back on myself, like looking in a mirror. I left the church for a while and came back, then left and came back. Maybe I had to dig deep to find my why, my vocation beyond a typical trajectory. Maybe sometime they felt like a mistake. Well, mistakes are holy. Every painter's mistake can be folded into a glorious reclaimed painting. We are still painting. God sitting back. Nope. God works. God works. Through every advocate. God loves. In every tear. God is in every laugh. God is in every tear. God is in every moment. Mistakes. I needed grace. For me, I needed community to pour into and to pour grace over me like a waterfall, like a glorious, gorgeous waterfall, like tears, like baptism, like soulful poetry. This poem is honestly not one of my best ones. It's very raw, and I just found it when I stumbled through some of my writings right after. It was literally the day that I found out Andrea Gibson passed that I wrote that one. It's a joyful miracle. They talk about saints and miracles and things like that we can witness Andrea Gibson's life journey through their candid, crushing, hope-imbued poetry. There are times when the poems are about war or conflict or sad things or prison or things that absolutely hurt people in this life, and yet they thread through this beautiful, miraculous, gritty hope and optimism. And the optimism is that we can all make an impact. Andrea impacted many people like this. After they passed, I realized that a lot of people I didn't realize knew Andrea Gibson's poetry, and it was especially now with the documentary, there's a lot more circulating. Their candid sharing about mental health recovery and challenges in a world that still has a lot of stigma is really powerful and empowering. I won't quote too much of Andrea Gibson because you've already heard one poem, and I hope that's a taste and that everyone can take a nice dive, if they're so called, and pulled to look around at the things on Substack, which their partner Megan Fairley, who is in the documentary, is now keep talking about grief and loss, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Their miraculous responsiveness and miraculous compassion for their communities and friends and chosen family is showcased in a podcast that they shared when they shared their terminal illness diagnosis. It's the We Can Do Hard Things podcast. And if you look it up and look up that one, I recommend listening. It's almost poetic, and it's definitely poetic, the way they share their views on the afterlife and what life means in the midst of a terminal illness. The one thing that Andrea Gibson really talked about in the documentary that I thought was really powerful was how they experienced depression and all of that happened throughout their lives. And they also, when they found out about cancer, everything just took a different perspective. Everything shifted for them. When you listen to Andrea preach almost through poetry, for a minute we find the hope that we can bring a little bit of heaven to earth for people that have experienced marginalization or oppression or sadness or grief or loss or mental health challenges. And the line in their poem, for refusing to believe in miracles because miracles are the impossible coming true and everything is possible. I do believe in miracles. I think I've witnessed, a little bit of miracle at Sky Lake in the last 5 years. It's really beautiful to watch Pastor Corey's vision kind of just flourish, and all the people that have come in through the experience of this place. And the line inspired me then, and it still does, but equality, heaven on earth, inclusion, and finding things that don't suck in the midst of something that does show that miracles are possible, I think. And we make it so by what we do and who we are and what we share and the vulnerability that we give to the world. So I would like to nominate Andrea Gibson for Wild Sainthood, which just feels really powerful because they wanted at one point to have a church tour because they were a person of a different kind of faith, you know, not people might expect. But so having this opportunity to do this today with Church in the Wild is really special. So I'd like to nominate Andrea Gibson and, yes, Pastor Corey. So, for all that has been named aloud, for all that we carry still that has gone unnamed, we lift up to our Creator, to the great love that enlivens our universe and holds it together. Trusting love will prevail through all the ups and downs of our daily lives. I'll invite us into a time of prayer, meditation. Take a moment to find a relaxed, comfortable seat or lay or stand or whatever you need to do. Bring some quiet to your... Yeah, watch it. Watch the swirling water or close your eyes. Become aware of the presence of the divine. In the breeze caressing our skin, in the sounds of children and bird song. In the beautiful landscapes. We are on holy ground in the presence of the sacred. And today I want to share a prayer from Reverend Lori Walk, who wrote this prayer the day Andrea Gibson died. She writes, "What was their most powerful line of poetry, Holy One? We can't possibly choose. Not when Andrea Gibson poured their heart and soul into spoken and written word. And it made us feel known. Andrea, Poet Laureate of Colorado and of our hearts, slipped into eternity last week. And in our heartbreak, we pray for their wife, Meg, and ask that you comfort Andrea's family as only love can. And if we had to choose one of their poems to hold close during these days, it is this. You can walk through life believing everything is a miracle, my therapist said, paraphrasing Einstein long ago. Or you can walk through life believing nothing is a miracle. What you gonna choose? Everything is a miracle, I say these days, but that wasn't my answer in the past. Why did I go so long believing I owed this world my disappointment? I hate it here, writes every other person online, but I love it here. I love it here, I whisper to the sky at 1 a.m. while standing on my upstairs porch. I love it here, I whisper into my doctor's telescope so she can finally hear my heart. Tell Andrea that we are grateful for the reminder, Holy One, and we promise to choose as they did. Tonight before bed, we will look up at the sky and tell them that we love it here too. We pray in the name of love itself. Amen. And so I invite you now to take 2 minutes, either from the spot you're in or feel free to move, and find something, whether a sight, a sound, a smell, a feeling, a taste. Find something to which you are inspired to respond, I love it here. And feel free to say those words aloud if you are so moved. I love it here. I hope we will all live with intention, remembering what we do matters, right? Every action, every time we show up, it's that ripple we're casting into the web of life. We are all connected on this planet home of ours. I hope we will all live with intention, remembering what we do matters, right? Every action, every time we show up, it's that ripple we're casting into the web of life. We are all connected on this planet home of ours. So this is a chance for us to embody the deep peace of this place and to extend it to all the other living things that are right here in our midst. Deep peace of running wave to you, deep peace of flowing air to you, deep peace of the quiet earth to you, deep peace of the shining stars to you, deep peace of the source of peace to you. And we'll sing peace, salam, shalom. 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 Peace, salam, shalom.